as it stays covert. When it becomes overt, when everybody sees what's going on, the game is pretty much over. We're still going to see a huge battle over Hagel. Israel is determined to prove they're still calling the shots in the U.S. Congress. They're literally betting the farm on blocking Hagel. And if they succeed, it will be a Pyrrhic victory because everybody is seeing what's going on. Everybody sees it's all these pro-Israel politicians who are selling out and saying, yes, we've got to block Hagel. He said he was a senator of the United States. You can't have that. We're all senators for Israel. But when Bill Maher is saying it on his show, on a corporate network, and when the audience applauds wildly as he says it, Israel has lost their covertness. Everybody is seeing the hand of Israel controlling our government. We have a coffee cup we sell around here says, the fastest way to bring down a dictatorship is to force them to act like one where everybody can see it. And that's what's going on with this Hagel confirmation. We're seeing the hand of the dictator at work. And Americans do not like that. They do not like it at all. Which means maybe Americans are going to wake up and realize what it feels like to be in these nations conquered by the U.S., with a U.S. puppet regime imposed on them, whether it's Iran in 1953 or Iraq and Afghanistan today. It doesn't feel very good when you realize your nation is not being run for the benefit of the people who live in that nation, but for the benefit of a foreign government. Maybe Americans are going to be a little less willing to force their way of life on the rest of the world, now that they realize some other nation is forcing their way of doing things on us. Speaking of Israel, as you're probably aware, they have a large gay population, which is all well and good. But apparently, as more Israeli gay couples father children or mother children, they're hitting a brick wall because apparently Israel's rabbinate is saying that the children of gay couples aren't Jewish and don't qualify for that legal status in Israel. Now, I'm sorry, but when you're talking about a little tiny baby, they didn't choose who their parents are. If you don't like the fact that the parents are a gay couple, well, then you can talk to the parents who are a gay couple. As I've said before, if you're opposed to gay marriage, don't marry a gay, problem solved. But this idea of punishing the children for the sins of the parents, that makes no sense at all. That makes no sense at all. Blaming the child for what the parents did, if you have a problem with what the parents did. Now, over at the Daytona International Speedway, Chevrolet recently unveiled their brand new 2014 SS High Performance Sedan. Apparently, it's a good car. Hopefully, we'll see it on Top Gear for too much longer. Apparently, Israel is refusing to allow this car to be imported to Israel because it has the name SS on it. Oh, it's a Nazi car. It has to be a Nazi car. It has SS on it. I don't know, SS can stand for a lot of things like Secret Service. It's just a name. It would really be nice if Israel could get a life and stop spending every waking moment looking for anything that they can use to remind us again about the Nazis and Hitler and all the rest of this stuff, which happened before the vast majority of us were even born. Israel can't seem to live in the 21st century with the rest of us. They're hopelessly trapped in the 1940s, and they don't want to let go of it because it gives them political advantage, or at least it used to, and I think that political advantage is rapidly wearing out. It's a car. It's not like it's got swastikas painted on the doors or anything like that. It's just a name, like GT, like XL, like whatever. It's just they put the letters to sound cool. I am absolutely positive that Chevrolet, when they put SS on the back of this car, they were not thinking Nazis and Hitler and Holocaust. Only the Israelis are just looking for anything that they can put a hook into and say, see, Nazis, Hitler, Nazis, Hitler. Israel needs to get a life, and they need to move into the 21st century with the rest of us. Oh, man. I almost feel like going out and buying one of those cars just to tick Israel off, and I don't even really like Chevrolets. Now, continuing on economic news here, since we've sort of segued into that through Chevrolet, apparently Facebook has turned into the corporate welfare queen of them all. Even though Facebook did not pay a dime in state or federal income taxes in 2012, they're going to get a tax refund approximating $500 million. And they made $1.1 billion in U.S. profits. No taxes, $500 million in refund. I think this reinforces the idea that Facebook is being propped up because it's being used as an intelligence resource to keep an eye on the domestic population, which is a flawed idea. Do you know how many people lie about themselves on Facebook? How many are putting up pictures that are 10, 20 years old of what they look like, especially if they're single and looking for somebody else? It's all a fantasy. Everybody brags on Facebook. There's no accurate information to be gleaned from Facebook. And they're being propped up. Ever since they've gone public, their stock continues to go down, 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 down. And it's being propped up because apparently the U.S. government is invested in using Facebook to keep an eye on you. We reported, I think it was last year, how the IRS goes through Facebook profiles looking for pictures of really cool toys that their computers say you really shouldn't be able to afford to buy. Not understanding that in many cases you're getting these things off of eBay or from somebody else's bankruptcy sale, and you may not have paid the full manufacturer's suggested retail price for it. It's all by guess and by gosh. And if the U.S. is forming domestic surveillance policy based on Facebook or Twitter, then it's completely, utterly worthless, whatever data they're pulling together. It has to be. None of it's accurate. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Anyway, the economy is looking really bad. Over at blacklistednews.com, they had this article, Crumbling Global Economy Passes the Point of No Return. And it's talking about, even though the G20 is saying there won't be a currency war, the indications are these nations are in fact doing just that. And Japan has gone on a massive bond purchase program. It's driving their stock market up. But again, it's all through newly created money. They're propping up their financial system by simply trying to print their way out of all these problems. And it all gets back to that idea. You can't prosper a nation by devaluing your currency. We're going to be right back after these words from our sponsors. Program note here. We're under amazing wind here in Hawaii right now. Our ambient temperature's in the low 70s, but between the humidity and the wind chill factor is definitely down there. So if we all of a sudden vanish from the feed, it means a power line came down somewhere, but we got tree branches and stuff coming down. It's very insane wind situation. Getting back to the economy. We're looking at this article that's over at Investment Watch blog, and they're pretty serious, straightforward blog. They're not given to extreme hysteria, but they had this article out there, Economic Collapse in Process, Billionaires Continue to Dump Stocks, Traders Betting Against the Economy, Hedge Funds Preparing for Major Sell-Off, and now Betting Against Currencies. And the indications are that this effort at globalism to try and link all of the economies together has had an unintended side effect. It's all going to come down together at the same time. And that might actually be a good thing, because if you go back to all wars are banker wars, you will see that throughout history there have been independent nations that wanted to break free from this predatory form of banking, like the United States in 1776. And then the rest of the world's nations that are slave to these private central banks immediately attack them, drive them back into slavery. Well, that doesn't work if every nation with a private central bank implodes at pretty much the same time. There won't be anybody left to come back and say, you have to go back onto this private central bank model. So we're seeing indications all over there. Apparently there's a major problem with retail in the United States right now. Walmart is saying that their numbers for the first couple of weeks of February are just an absolute disaster. When Walmart can't make it, you know things are really getting bad out there. We're hearing all over. Retailers are shutting all kinds of stores. They're cutting back. They're trimming back. When this economy was healthy, between 60 and 70% of the U.S. economy was consumer spending, and this shutdown of all these retail stores is telling us the consumer part of the economy is collapsing, which shouldn't be a surprise, because the money junkies have looted the wealth from the American people to prop up their little banking system. That's what all these little bailouts were. Taking $1 trillion from the American people, giving it to the banks so the banks could loan it back to us at interest, except the American people don't want to borrow anymore. And that's why the government is borrowing hand over fist trying to keep the system going. But it's going to fail. It has to fail ultimately, and it all goes back to that article I wrote, The 11th Marble. The fundamental flaw in the private central bank model is that it always creates more debt than money with which to pay that debt. And we can count on the money junkies and their servile politicians to keep this thing going as long as they possibly can, but they can't get it going forever. It's impossible. We'll be right back. Phoned in to tell us the SS on that Chevrolet stands for Super Sport. That's what the SS means, Super Sport. But the Israelis are screaming, it's the SS, it's Nazis, it's Holocaust, it's all SS, and they're banning the car for import into Israel on the basis of these letters on the back of the car. Probably a very good car, safe, no problems, but by golly, we're not going to let it in here because of these two letters on the back. How dare you name it the Super Sport? Don't you know what those initials mean? Next thing, the United States is going to, Israel's going to go over to the United States Secret Service and tell them, you got to change your name so the initials don't say SS. Amazing stuff here. A couple more stories before we get back to the economy. You're probably already aware that the victims of Storm Sandy are still struggling to rebuild the damage. And there hasn't been a lot of help from the government of the United States of America because, after all, it's much more important to spend your tax dollars on bombs and bullets and throwing our weight around on the rest of the world. So those people who got hit by the storm, well, just tough. Turns out they are getting some humanitarian aid. There is money flowing into these storm-ravaged regions from the United Arab Emirates. Americans are now getting foreign aid from the Middle East oil nations because their own government is too busy serving Israel to take care of the American people. There's a real slap in the face. Following up on my comments about Israel looking for an excuse to go back into Lebanon. And first they tried to blame the Bulgarian bus bombing on Hezbollah. The Bulgarian investigation is saying there's no evidence that was the case. Then they tried to scream, oh, Hezbollah are invading Syria. Now we're getting a report in the Israeli media that Israeli subs have been spotted cruising off the coast of Lebanon. Those Dolphin-class submarines Germany had to give them, equipped with nuclear-tipped cruise missiles. So it's very obvious Israel's getting ready to go into Lebanon. Now, back to the economy. And this is a very important story. It came over the weekend. A lot of people missed it. China and Russia have agreed to drop the dollar in bilateral trade. Now, obviously, China and Russia are going to use the dollar if they're doing business with the United States of America. But between China and Russia themselves, they're no longer going to go through the dollar. And it's just common sense. The dollar is losing real value so rapidly between the time somebody in China places an order in Russia and then pays for it, the Russian company is losing money. We've actually seen this here in the United States. If you're trying to order something from overseas, they'll come back and say, this price is only good for the next 30 days. And after that, we have to revise the price upward because of the drop in the value of the dollar. People are talking about how fast gas prices are going up here in the United States of America. There isn't any gas shortage. Why is the gas price going through the roof? It's up over $5 a gallon in Southern California right now. Well, that's because the gas isn't worth any